Silver is sitting right on top of its order block. So if that order block kind of fails, Bitcoin is getting that rejection. I warned y'all about that order block. This order block is tough. That we use as a springboard to get up to Newmont. Took a trade on this one. Kind of got that pop up. Consider taking a trade on yesterday, I think it was, for that downside. The Auto Nation is one of those weird ones. I keep thinking it's going to die, but then it doesn't die. But again, they do return money to shareholders. And if we talk about their float, it is only 28 million. But I do feel like that there is some pullback that's very warranted. Hey, good morning. Welcome to another episode of BYTTT. Before you take the trade, I am your host, JD the Great. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. That way we can go ahead and let these algorithms work in our favor. That said, a lot of stuff that we got to cover. So NQ put in a very interesting, especially in the spot that it's in, fair value gap on the daily. So the question is, because we're going to have our jobs report tomorrow, is this bullish fair value gap a good spot for them to kind of hold up, and then that jobs report comes in relatively favorably, and then it just pushes us up into that 25.96, maybe even to the 25.800, 25.900? Is it enough? Is it enough? And that's the question that we got to go ahead and carry as we are going into the rest of this week. It would be smart. Again, there is a nice little gap here. Did they come up here just to kind of beat the bulls, and they know they're going to reload the puts? Because we had a nice little interesting rejection that was right here, especially with Netflix earnings being a little bit light around the edges. We're going to cover that in a little bit. Okay, so just plan accordingly. Make sure you watch your levels. Make sure you get your confirmations, and do not just panic trade into the market. All right, so let's go ahead and keep this party going. We got a lot of stuff that we got to cover. The next one I want to talk about, it is oil. Oil is trying to do something along the lines of a rebound, knowing that this level was something that was deep into the archives, as we kind of covered, and they're trying to give it that bounce. We'll see what happens there. Here's gold, or it's supposed to be gold. Let's go ahead and fix that. Here's gold. Gold has been dropping off ever since the 4400. I think they are finally fatigued with this run. Massive candle that ate up not 1, 2, 3, but 4, 5 days of lows, and they rebalanced this area here. This is a good order block here, just like this one would be, and this one right here would be. But I do think that we could get into that 3800. I think that's what buyers are waiting for, so that way they can go ahead and put some pressure onto the commodities market. Don't forget to chart off silver. Silver is sitting right on top of its order block. So if that order block kind of fails, let me mark this off for y'all. Give y'all a nice little order block. Something that looks a little bit like this. All right, again, very subjective. You can draw your order block how you see fit, but we kind of hit the brakes on silver at its order block, and then we broke under the $50 mark. Remember, I told y'all these psychological levels was key. We keyed off on this $40. This was back here in early September, and I've been talking about the $40 mark ever since July and August, that they were aiming for that, and that was going to drag gold. So it's very interesting where it is. Are they going to retest all the way back to the 40, or are they going to find a place to kind of catch? Maybe somewhere around here would be a good reversal, so that we can get some continuation on gold. But if not, if we get a close below this level, be prepared. All right. Here is the British pound. The British pound is losing value again. I want them to fill this whole entire move all the way down to this level, bringing it to 1.295. That will strengthen the dollar, and we can get some really good prices going into the Sand rally. Bitcoin is getting that rejection. I warned y'all about that order block. This order block is tough. This is that area right here that we use as a springboard to get up to 125. So this is going to be the target of all bears to go ahead and short the market. And you can kind of see the same fair value gap over here, midway point, is the same one that they're rejecting off of. So very important level. We'll see what happens there. Russell is still trucking along. I think we're going to get solid consolidation here as they shake off people from the higher assets, your NQ, your ES, and take the cash from there. And then we're going to get a nice little influx of cash inside of here. And then here comes what's supposed to be the undeniable, the force of nature, the US dollar. We're getting a rise to the upside here. Again, this order block is going to be a tough area, so I could anticipate some type of rejection here, or here. Oh, actually, this is old. Let me get rid of that. And we get rid of that. So really here, and then here, somewhere around that level. But I really think they want the dollar to be right here at that 100 level. So we're going to go ahead and mark that off and see when this actually comes to fruition. All right. So we kind of covered everything. Let's go ahead and get into our normal routine of looking at the earnings. Let's see what we got for earnings. Let me expand it out. Let's go ahead and get that. And let's just push that over a bit. All right, so couple things. All right, and we did say like Netflix. Where are you, Netflix? Let's grab Netflix. There it is. So looking over at Netflix, they had a very interesting take as far as their earnings. We closed at 1,241. It rejected that 1,241 into 1,164. Jeez, that is a drop off. They missed earnings by that much, right? Now, don't get me wrong, the revenue is solid, but you cannot lose shareholders' money, especially when they price in the estimate of 6.962. So with them failing this level, and again, it's not something for you to, cry a river and be like, I gotta go ahead and sell all the Netflix I can find, but it is something that you want to key off if this is a pattern going into the next earnings in December. All right, so what is coming up this morning? This morning we got BSX. What else we have? We got AT&T, and then tonight we got Alcoa. And then we got ourselves, this is the one that I'm probably going to be worrying about, is Tesla. After a miss on earnings for Netflix, is that the shot over the bow for them to go ahead and take some stabs at the market? Yeah. They'll take some stabs at the market to go ahead and start to short. Now, I would love to see this retrace all the way back to the 400 level, given a $40 drop or a 10% drop. It probably would happen over about 2 to 3 days, give or take. But this thing can gap down to that level. We'll see what they do with that. Okay. All right. What else we got? LRCX. IBM, we kind of talked about it yesterday. Wyndham Hotel, the hotel chains are suffering a little bit, and I do think it's just because there's almost like a vacuum of cash into the tech space. So if they start saying, hey, we got some AI blah 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 that does your bookings for you during this earnings, I won't be surprised that this one bounces and start to put some pressure onto this fair value gap going into the 100 level. But overall, we're talking about a weekly that's been putting nothing but downward pressure, and that downward pressure looks very similar to this. And then we got a deviation when we kind of had this angle right here, really that angle there. So depends. If we can get a nice little falling wedge action, which would look something along the lines of this, and we break out that top, this base would be your support to go ahead and attack here and then get up into that 100 level. So just keep that in mind as this earnings drop, and it probably responds like that tonight. So for tomorrow, we have VLO, which is gas, AutoNation. Now, AutoNation is one of those weird ones. This thing, I keep thinking it's going to die, but then it doesn't die. Then out of nowhere, they just make new highs. It's just very, very weird company. But again, they do return money to shareholders. Normally, here it is, $6 billion company. And if we talk about their float, it is only 28 million. Now, the auto industry is probably going to be facing some sense of a reset because car prices are a little bit inflated, but does not guarantee that this is going to actually happen. And because this is a well-managed company, as far as the valuation of this, and they're probably not losing a lot of money, but I do feel like that there is some pullback that's very warranted. I'd say maybe 193, and then we'll probably go ahead and go for some more highs, because the last time we touched the 50, we did a 36% increase in valuation of the price. So that's what I'm thinking is probably going to happen with a company like AutoNation. What else we got in here? Union Pacific for trains, BX, we got Freeport Moran. I think we're going to get some issues with companies like Freeport Moran because the commodities has been a little bit juiced, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, their metals and other materials. They really cover is copper, and I don't know if you remember that copper run that happened. I want to say it was probably May. I think it was this copper run here. We've been pulling back right there. So they do copper, more copper. Let me see if they do any other refined. Mostly copper is what they cover here. I just know the pressure and slides. I don't know what. Oh, smelting. Okay. So yeah, this is one that's going to be one of those tricky ones if you try to play this, because the chart right now, yeah, it's giving us a little bounce. Yeah, it does return money to shareholders, but that EPS is weak. It is a $6 billion company, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere per se, but just wait for this chart to show you something if you're going to play it to the upside. If not, I think there's more shorts coming. Not NSC, not DEG. Newmont, talking about materials again. I took a trade on this one a couple weeks back. Kind of got that pop up. Considered taking a trade on yesterday, I think it was, for that downside. Because so there was a little bit of a trap. They pushed it up to the upside here, and then they kind of captured them back down to the downside on an overnight play. I think this is just gold finally getting that reset, because they're mostly on gold versus copper, like Freeport Moran. So just keep this in mind. Maybe get a bounce over that $81, and then maybe people start investing into gold, because I do believe gold is going to pull back a bit. Is this a VeriSign? Huh. I didn't even know they still in business. That is interesting. All right, let's see. Returns money to shareholders, $2 EPS. Yeah, that revenue is kind of down. Let me see. Let's go back a bit. Actually, that is they are growing. Yeah, they are growing. It's not bad. So I would say for the most part it is okay, but I haven't seen their logo in a while. I forgot where I used to see it a lot. But anyways, building a nice little base right here on this 200 moving average. Probably could go ahead and get a push up to here with a solid earnings, maybe a surprise EPS, maybe a surprise on revenue, maybe get to $500 million. And there's a little bit of a gap right here, and I think the gap is built on the fact that no, I don't think it's built on that. I think first I was going to say maybe they miss EPS, maybe they miss some revenue. No, not even. I think this is just... Oh, I see. Psychological level $300, and people were starting to take their profits. It kind of gapped down, and then now they're going to see if they can get back to that $300. I think there's a good bounce for us to go ahead and hold for that $300. They do give dividends. Dividends is no, not even okay. It's all right. Like it's below okay. It's below all right. It's kind of. Let's see if we can get above this 300 level with this bounce, but it won't be because of the dividends. So don't be surprised if it sell off during dividends. Dividends sell off. Dividends kind of a pop, but then sell off right before earnings. And they just added dividends. This announcement here probably powered that move. Yeah, that's what it is. This power of that move, and then people are starting to shave some of their profits at that 300. Now they probably rebalancing so that way they can collect dividend with the profits that they took. That's probably what we're facing here. All right. I think that's about it. All right. Let me leave y'all with that. Well, like I said, listen. At the end of the day, the algorithm works a certain way. So don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. That way we can go ahead and keep on giving you good content like this. Don't forget, we are doing a massive 14-day trial on Compound Central. Click the link down below so that way you can get access. We're going to be doing our $100 challenge coming this week. So if you want to participate in that, then you have to have access to Compound Challenge. And I look forward to working with y'all. See y'all later.